G'day guys and welcome back to another Prime Potty. Please jump on and rate this 5 stars on Spotify. Give it a like, give it a comment if you're watching it on the YouTube. All of your support means the absolute world to me. So please jump on, do all that sort of stuff. But without further ado, let's get into this episode. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another Prime Potty. I am so excited again to have my fantastic producer, Keehlan, here. How are you today, Keehlan?
I'm good, mate. How are you?
Yes, very well. I'm surrounded today by firstly my supplements and secondly by a nice little morning coffee. Recording this on a Friday. Obviously, you guys hopefully listening to it on a Tuesday morning. Today, we're going to be going through a fair range of, firstly, questions, but then probably one of the most common questions that I get, which I find to be very interesting, is around happiness. And like, how do you become happier? And I think a lot of the times when you do podcasts, you look at the title and then you're trying to search all podcasts to find that little part of like the title. But bugger that, I'm just going to get straight into it today. So like, I want to focus on how you can be a happier person. And God, if I'm being 100% honest, I'm probably not the happiest, I'm not the happiest person in the entire world. Like, obviously not. We all go through, dips and we all go through highs and lows, of course. And you can't always be the happiest person on the earth. But if you look at it over a long period of time, I would say that generally I am pretty sprightly, I'm usually smiling, and I'm reasonably happy. So I would love to be able to give some tips and tricks on how to be happier, and I guess how to deal with when things aren't going as you hoped or as you liked. So the first question, and like I said, the most common question I get is, how can you be happier? I think you can focus on three main things. The first one is expressing gratitude. The second thing is appreciating the success of other people, whether it's your friends or your family. And then thirdly, it's going to be surrounding yourself with amazing people. So it might be friends, family. It could literally just be someone that's going to bring up your mood, like a pet. It could be a dog. It could be a cat, anything like that. I think that that's going to be able to, I guess, push your mood in the right direction. I'm going to break down each of those three things for you guys, because I think that, like I said, over a long period of time and over most of my lifetime, I would say that, and if you know me quite well, you'd say that I'm reasonably happy. Would you agree, Keehlan?
Yeah.
Yeah?
From the 6 months I've known you.
Reasonably?
Yeah.
That's okay. Sometimes, like I said, sometimes we go through ebbs and flows of it. But generally speaking, I would say that I'm mostly a happy person. So let's start off with the first one, and that's expressing gratitude. So like, I guess, what is gratitude? It's being grateful for what you have in your life. And it's funny because I've been surrounded by so many people in my life. I've been fortunate enough that my dad has some, affluent, wealthy friends is a good way to put it. And some people, even no matter how successful they are, they're not actually that happy with their lives. So it's weird when you look at it like that. It's like, how can you be unhappy when you've got everything? You've got a great family, you're earning steady income, you probably have these people around you that are great people, but realistically, you're not actually looking at your life as how good it is. You're looking at it at how much better it could be. And I think that is one of the first things that I realize every morning is how happy I am to have a roof over my head, how happy I am to have food. So every morning I'll write down 2 things that I'm grateful for. You can do this in a journal. You can do this wherever the hell that you want to do it. But I think that like just reminding yourself of 2, it might be 3 things. It might just be one thing. You might just want to start off with one thing that you're grateful for. It could be your family. It could be the people around you. It could literally be the most simple thing ever. Like, it could be how comfortable your bed is. It doesn't have to be something that's like crazy. It could also be like, business or, you're financially stable, like whatever the hell you want it to be. I think that they're really, really important things in achieving happiness. And that's like the first thing that I had, that gratitude is for me, the number one thing that you want to have in your life. Would you agree, Keehlan?
Yeah.
Do you express much gratitude?
I think I do. I think the important thing about gratitude is also being very self-aware of that you may not have $1 million, but are you waking up next to your girlfriend and are you happy in that relationship is also a form of gratitude.
Exactly right. And then I guess that kind of comes into the third part, which we will get to, about like the friends and family and girlfriends, wives around you. But like gratitude is so important to have daily in your life, because the time that you, or the days that you don't express gratitude, a lot of the time you're unhappy that day. And if you go back to a day where you remember, I'm really pissed off because I'm stressed at work or I'm stressed at school, it's like, hold on, like how lucky am I to be going to school? Like how lucky am I that I've got a great family around me that might be paying for me to go to school? You know, a lot of time you forget how much that your parents have done for you, how much your friends have done for you, how much your surrounding family has done for you as well. So gratitude is one of the most important things, and probably number one on my list of things to be happy. So I'll start off with that. And then secondly, success of others. Now, this is an interesting one. I was actually talking about this with my great friend Louis Phillips the other day. And we just go out for a kind of coffee once or twice a week, and we'll just chat about various things, whether it's the dates that Louis going on, or there's only one girl at the moment, he's in love, or if it's just like, it could literally be anything. It could be friends, family, whatever you want it to be. But we were going and talking the other day about happiness, and he mentioned that being or expressing your happiness for the success of others is such a key thing, because it's going to stop you from being envious. And envy is one of the main ways that you can really start to get pissed off and be like, oh, like a touch of envy is okay because you want it to motivate you. But I think that when envy starts to become bad is when you're all envious and you're not focused on like, mate, that's awesome. You know, well done. Like one of your mates does something good, you want to get around him. The last thing that you want in a friendship group or in a friend is someone that's always tearing you down, or someone that's envious, because eventually you're going to lose them as a friend. Because especially for me, I find that the most important people in my life are always bringing me up, and that's a really, really important thing to have. It's okay to have a little bit of banter here and there, but success of others is a really, really important, I guess, way of becoming happier. Do you agree, Keehlan?
Yeah, totally.
Is there any examples in your life where someone has been successful and you've been really happy in recent weeks?
Yeah, actually, the last big podcast I worked for had to end because someone became very successful, and I could be upset that I lost my job because of that, but I'm actually just thrilled that he's doing so well.
That's an amazing example, because I'm similar again. You know, with a lot of people, and I guess we all do the social media game, and social media is all about numbers really at the end of the day. You know, how many followers you've got, and then followers obviously can turn into marketing and brand deals, and then eventually probably money into your account as well. And I could be jealous that someone's doing better than me on social media, but bugger that, like, good on them. That's amazing. I absolutely froth that, and I could be pissed off as well, because I do game day vlogs. And I see all these people now, like people coming to me saying, people are copying you, doing your game day vlogs. Like they're getting these views on YouTube. You know, do you reckon it's taking away from your success? I'm like, mate, bugger that. That's elite. Like I look at it not as someone stealing or copying my content. I'm looking at it as perspective again. Perspective is key. I'm looking at it as I've forged a path for these people to be able to create these game day vlogs, to be able to create football content, to be able to produce content of going to the gym. And like, I think that perspective is really key as well, because you can, again, look at it from an envious standpoint and be like, bugger these guys trying to copy me or trying to be successful. That's the worst way to look at it. You got to look at it as like, mate, this is elite. People are succeeding. I'm opening doors for other people to jump in and do things. So success of others is an absolutely key thing, and that's second on the list. Thirdly, surrounding yourself with positive people. Now, I really think that this is something that you actually don't learn until you get a little bit older. Have you, Keehlan, much in your life had to deal with kind of people bringing you down for what you're doing?
Yes.
How does that make you feel?
Makes me feel pretty bad and sour towards those people. So all the people who were shutting me down, I just cut out of my life.
Was it hard for you initially to cut them out?
Yes. But now looking back on it, it's like the best decision I could have ever made.
That's exactly right. And I think that that's one of the hardest things that we all do. We all struggle to cut these people out of our lives because they might be your friends. They might be your family. Bloody hell. Like they could be people that are, that are really trying to cut you down. And if you allow various people to cut you down in your life, then there is absolutely zero chance that you have of succeeding. I remember watching Steve Harvey. Yes, big Steve Harvey, mate. He's a bloody legend. And he was kind of doing a motivational speech, and he said, be very careful of what you say to others because, you might go to your mum and go, Mum, one day, I'm going to be rich. And then your mum might say, no one in this family is ever going to be rich, son. Like, you get back down, you do your job. Your dad might say, bugger that, son, go back down, do your job. Go to school, study, and you're going to just grow up to be like me. Like, sometimes if you've got people in your life that are telling you that, then like you've got to go to different circles and different people that are going to be supportive of what you do. I'm not saying completely cut off your parents if they don't believe in you, because that's not what I mean, but more so for friends. I think that you really, really have to be careful of people that are dragging you down, and having positive relationships with especially it might be your partner, your girlfriend, people that are going to help you and push you to do what you want to do, and being able to be independent as well. But yeah, I think that surrounding yourself with good vibes, good people, family, friends, and then again, kind of just like an emotional support animal as well. Sometimes, like, I loved having Coco with me last year as my dog up at Noosa. She's just a legend. Every time that I felt a little bit down, every time I'd walk into the door, not into the door because that would be an issue. Any time I'd walk in the door, Coco would just be like the happiest freaking thing ever to see me. So I think that's a really big key as well, surrounding yourself with positive people. Would you agree, Keehlan?
Yeah, 100%.
I reckon that's an absolute key.
What is something you do if you say it's the end of the day and you're feeling down? How do you help yourself?
Great call. Well, like I went to before, I think that starting the day, writing down. So I think it's really important to remember that, I don't know if you've ever had this, but every time that you do something first thing in the morning, you might listen to a song. I remember when I used to run the bus to school, and you'd hear a song on the radio, and that song would be in your head all day, right? Yeah. So anything that you do in the morning is going to actually stay in your brain for long periods of the day. So I would go back because it's the first thing that I did in the morning. As soon as I woke up, I write down my 2 things I'm most grateful for. And, today it was 2 very, very simple things. It was that all of my, merch has come. So I was really grateful that all the merch has come and that I can give it out to future fulfillment and start sending it out, and all of my customers are going to be happy. And then the second one was literally just like the weather, the weather yesterday morning was freezing cold, and this morning there was a little bit of sunshine, and it's like, mate, it's like 6 degrees, so it's fucking freezing, but it's like, that is so key for me, and it's absolutely amazing. So it could be those 2 things, and then when I get home after a big day, I'm like, hold on, like, I'm really happy because of these 2 things. I'm really happy because I've got my life in order, I've got all my merch into the warehouse, my customers are going to be happy in a few weeks, and the sun's shining, so how can I be unhappy? And I think that that's a really key thing that keeps me on the road. But as well, I think if those 2 points of gratitude aren't enough for you, and you get home and you had a really long, stressful day, then take time to bloody chill out. Take time to sit down and, watch a movie with maybe your significant other, maybe just one of your mates. Go to the movies. I want to go see that new Guardians of the Galaxy, actually. I'm really keen to see that. But like, it might be just like go and, go and watch a movie, chill out, have some bloody popcorn, have a steak, and then tomorrow morning wake up and get ready to go. Something that I find really, really key as well is setting your goals. Like, I've got a big whiteboard in my room, and I've got business goals, I've got personal goals, and I've got long-term goals. And not giving away too much, but obviously business goals are more kind of based around financial sort of things and numbers in terms of like following and that sort of stuff. Personal goals are more around being a nice person, being kind. And then my long-term goal is happiness. Like, it's one goal. And then it's like, how do you achieve happiness? And it's like all these different things. But like, happiness is that's that number one goal really in the long term, because I think that I've been fortunate enough to see various people in my life that are successful but are not happy. And it's like, well, what the bloody hell is the point of getting all this success and grinding so hard and working so hard if you're never ever going to be happy for what you've actually got? So like I said, gratitude, surround yourself with positive people. And then obviously the second one is success. So being happy with other people's success. So all of those three things are imperative, and that's what I reckon are the three biggest keys to success. And hope I didn't waste any of your time. When you're scrolling through the podcast bloody reads and you're trying to find how to be happy, bugger it, mate. I'll just put it straight at the front, straight at number one. Are you happy with that, Keehlan?
That's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I reckon I'm pretty stoked with that as well. But the podcast obviously doesn't end here, guys, because we have so many amazing Q&As. But before we get to the Q&As, I want to run. I'm the most excited right now, I reckon, for things that are coming out, because not only do I have a restock shipment of our singlets, kind of our everyday shorts, our footy shorts, and then we've also got like reversible AFL Guernseys, which is just amazing as well. So I'm excited for that. We've also got the Prime Unwind hoodies and tees coming out, which have been blowing up on social media. So I've been really grateful for the response on that. I'm probably posting a bit too much. Everyone's going to be absolutely sick of it. But what is it? It's the 12th of May today. So 12 days away from time of recording is when we're going to be releasing. So that is the 24th of May. Put it into your calendars at 6 p.m. Vic time. It's easily the most excited I've been for a merch release, and we're kind of just going to stagger it, I think, so we don't just put everything on the website at the same time. But the Prime Unwind stuff's going to come first, and then we'll start to release the singlets and that sort of stuff later. Now, I actually had as well here something for you guys, because I put up a story and I was asking what everyone's most excited for in terms of singlets, everyday shorts, prime footy jersey, and prime footy shorts. And this is our results. Singlets, 15%, which is surprising. I thought the singlets would be number one, but everyday shorts, 29%. So people do love the shorts. I actually ordered so many of them. So hopefully people grab them. And then we got the prime footy jerseys at 26%, and then the prime footy shorts, the most, at 30%, which is super exciting. So hopefully you guys can get your hands on that stuff. Make sure you're following along on all the socials. You can pick up supplements and programs as well. If you use the code podcast, you will be getting it 20% off, which is, it's a pretty bloody decent little discount, because I'm pretty much losing money on everything that I have got there. But before further ado, let's get into some elite Q&As. I'm going to hand the phone over to Keehlan. He's just going to go through a few of his favourite Q&As. He's going to ask me, and I'm just going to give him some quick fire answers, because we've got so many there, and I thought, why don't we just try and get through as many as we can. Keehlan, take it away, my friend.
This is a good one from Bonnie. Did you get bullied at school? If so, how did you deal with it?
Did I get bullied at school? This is a good question. Good question, Bonnie. Did I get bullied at school? Probably through the years of like year 3 and 4, like a little bit of like kind of bullying, but like I guess I never really thought of it as bullying. To a point. I think everyone kind of goes through like stages of being bullied. I I lived in a very small country town, about 3,000 people, and in a small country town, it's not very, I guess it's frowned upon a little bit if you try and be yourself and try and go off and do your own thing a little bit. And that was always me. I was a little bit different with what I wore and what I did probably. So as a young kid trying to find myself, I probably didn't fit into the country that well. So I guess to a point, maybe when I was younger, year 3 or 4, but once I got to like year 7, 8, I was always I started to find myself a little bit more, I think, and started to figure out, I think moving around so much as a young kid to so many various schools made me figure out pretty quickly of how I need to be in order to win people over and gain friends. Because if you're stuck in one school your whole life, you kind of just get comfortable with your friends and then you're like, oh, these are my friends forever. But I moved around to like 20 different schools growing up, so I had to figure out how to get into a new group and how to win them over and become their friend. And sometimes it worked, most of the time it didn't. But by the end, by the time I got to Hale School, which was a school over in Western Australia, especially in year 11 and 12, I was the opposite of bullied. I was probably sometimes a little bit nasty to some people, but not. I always thought of like, it wasn't. Would never call it bullying, but I always thought of it as like trying to make people better. And I think one day my teacher pulled me aside and he was like, sometimes there's just nothing you can do. You just got to let people live their lives, and you're not going to be able to change that. And I will never ever forget that. Mr. Mazza pulling me aside. You wouldn't believe it. Mr. Mazza actually is in prison now.
What for?
So my school teacher pulled me aside, I remember in like year 12, and he was like, mate, you got to stop, giving a little bit of stick to other people because they're never going to change, the way that they are. And you can't change that. And in my group chat the other day, I saw, Mr. Mazza, the bloke that obviously pulled me aside, he's gone to prison for going into like a Woodside, I think it was like a Woodside meeting, and then was putting off stink bombs, and some sort of I forgot about that, some sort of protest, I guess, against Woodside, like mining or something.
Well, that's okay. I thought it was something else.
No. It was like I've actually got it. I'm going to Google it for you guys. Because it's a funny story. Gerard Mazza, Woodside. Yeah, let's see if I can find him. Here we go. Look at this. Stench gas disrupts Woodside AGM, landing 2 protesters behind bars. 2 protesters were held in police custody on Friday night after being arrested at a Perth Convention Centre early in the day, attempting to disrupt a Woodside AGM. Mate, shout out to Mr. Mazza. He was actually a really nice guy. Like, I actually quite liked the bloke. And he was my English teacher, and he was great. But, look, Gerard Mazza was arrested and charged with armed burglary after taking gas bombs to a Woodside AGM. Shout out Mr. Mazza. There you go. So that's a crazy story about bullying and getting bullied, but I never thought that would take that turn. Anyway, next question, Keehlan.
This question comes from Bryce. He says, should kids start dieting and working out before puberty?
Difficult question, because when is puberty, right? When do you go through puberty? Because when I say that, I mean everyone goes through puberty at different stages. I remember playing under 12s football, and there's like 25-year-old looking men playing against me. So it's a difficult question. Honestly, I don't think that you should. But when I say that, when you're a kid, working out isn't working out, right? Because working out is technically just fun for you. You're going and kicking the footy with your mates. Technically, for us as like adults, because we don't have that much time to play. Like, we don't have a lunchtime where we go and run around the oval and kick the footy. We don't have recess where we go and kick the footy. We don't have just like an afternoon where we kind of just go kick the footy with mates. You don't really do that as an adult because everyone's so busy doing what they do, or they're bloody tired after getting over off the job site. So to answer your question, you already are dieting and working out. Like, you actually are already doing it, but don't get confused with don't think of working out as something that's like strenuous or difficult. Think of working out as like, this is what I'm going to go and do, because I enjoy it. This is fun. Next question, I reckon.
What are your thoughts on the new AFL game?
Oh, I haven't actually played it, but I've heard that it's... I'm going to be careful what I say, because I actually went to the event release for it, and I played it on the controls there at the Big Ant Studios, and it was actually fantastic. It was perfect. But since they've rolled it out, it's been bugs after fixes after fixes, and apparently it's just absolutely broken. So apologies to anyone that bought it, but I don't think that it's going in the right direction. But that's okay. Hopefully it does get better. And I would recommend buying it in like June or July. If you are going to buy it, wait for it to get out of its testing phase.
This one comes from D. Pashby. How important is using protein powder after a workout?
Okay, protein powder is important. After a workout, kind of important. What's more important is getting in your protein for a whole period of the day. Now, don't forget that protein powder, creatine, pre-workout, all that stuff is called supplements because it's there as a supplementary powder to, I guess, put into your diet if you're not making up enough of what you should be making up for protein for your creatine. But if you are, having enough protein during the day, then you probably don't need a protein powder. But most people, and I say most, as in like 95% of people out there are not getting enough protein. Whether you're between the ages of 12 to freaking 100, I can almost assure you that you're not getting enough protein in. So that is why we call it a supplement. It's good to supplement after a workout because it's easy, because it's your muscles are most readily kind of available to get protein in, and you're probably hungry after a workout, and that's probably the best way to go to have. But you can also just have a freaking steak as well, but obviously we look at cost as well, and a protein powder might be, $2 for the same price that a $100 steak is. So is it important to have after a workout? It's not essential, but it is recommended, I guess.
This question comes from Riza. What do you recommend to do the day before a game leading up to game day?
Good question. And I'm going to have to say, just go and watch the game day vlogs, because I pretty much put everything that I do in there. And if you want any more information, I couldn't give it to you any more precisely and to the point than what I could in the game day vlog. So go and watch them. They're on YouTube. They are reasonably popular. So yeah, go and watch them.
This one comes from Logan. If there was a YouTube boxing match you were a part of, who would you box?
I don't really want to box anyone. I'm not a very good fighter. So I saw someone training. I won't say their name. They've been training for like 12 months to like fight and to go into the ring. And they went in and they got knocked out in the first 30 seconds. So like, bro, I'm not a fighter. I'm not good at it. Yeah, I fight on the footy field sometimes, but not well. But yeah, look, like I said, not a fighter. Not going to do it. If I had to fight someone, go into the ring to fight someone, I'd like it to be one of my mates. But yeah, look, it's a very, very difficult thing to say who I'd actually fight. And I'd hate for it to be filmed as well, because if I knock him out or he knocks me out, like, mate, could you imagine the amount of bloody edits that would be made about me, like, on the canvas? Bugger that. I'm not a fighter. I'm not going to do it. And I've had people call me out before and say, let's fight. And look, you guys can go fight the mirror, because I will not be there.
What is your go-to comfort TV show?
Go-to comfort TV show? I've been really enjoying Outer Banks recently. Yeah. Just finished it actually the other day. It took me a while, but TV shows can be very, very distracting. So you got to be careful with how much TV shows you watch, because you can get absolutely just like down the rabbit hole with them. But if I'm just sitting down and eating a nice little dinner, I love to watch Rick and Morty. I love watching Archer, so I love my animated cartoon series. They're bloody hilarious, absolute classics. I've been enjoying Shadow and Bone lately as well, which has been on Netflix. Season 2 just come out. It's quite an interesting, good sci-fi TV show. But if there's any TV shows that you guys are liking, then let me know in the comments, because I would love to see. But yeah, I'm not sure. That's probably like 3 or 4 that I quite enjoy. I love Rick and Morty. That's a ticket.
Henry asks, what is the best things you've learned during the making of Prime Unwind?
Is that Henry Reinbach?
Yes.
Mate, I love you, Henry. All right. He's honestly the GOAT. He watches all of he's always like one of the, he just does like the best comments. So shout out to him. Don't worry, I read all the comments. Henry, you're a legend. Let's have a think. With the Prime Unwind stuff, it's probably taken me about a year to release it, and it's about 2 weeks away, so it's getting so close. I'm so excited. Like, I can't even express to you guys how keen I am to like get this stuff out. But it's going to be really, really exciting when it does come out. What I've learned in the process of making it, I think that time is essential. So when I say that, is more about being patient. You have to be patient with these things, because you just want to release. And I wanted to release it last year in December, January, and I'm like, hold on a second. I'm going to release hoodies when it's like 30 degrees outside. That's not going to work. So you just have to be patient with when you're going to release it. I'm really happy now releasing in May. It's starting to really get a little bit chilly. So it's going to be fantastic for those cooler months that are coming up, especially here in Melbourne. But apart from, time and patience, which is absolutely key, it's also the quality of garment. So you want your quality of, everything that you make to be extremely high quality, because if you start a clothing brand with shitty qualities, then, mate, no one, like, people will buy it once. Yeah, cool. You look good for a second. They get it. And then it, they'll say to their friends, nah, this Prime and Wine stuff shit out. So I think that landing on a garment that I've really, really believed in and think that I can actually do really good things with has been a bit of a process, but I'm glad that I got there eventually. So I'm so excited for the Prime and Wine stuff, and I can't wait to release it.
Who is your favourite Dons player?
Favourite Essendon player would have to be, right now, probably Sam Draper, to be honest. He's absolutely ticket. He's just entertaining. I love an entertainer out in the field. Like, if you're going to play footy or whatever sport it be, basketball, soccer, be an entertainer. That stuff I find so interesting. So, yeah, definitely probably Sammy Drapes, but mate, I love them all, to be honest. Actually, tell you who I love. Brandon Zirk Thatcher. That bloke is a bloody superstar. He's going to be a fantastic defender. He's still young and a little bit raw, but he is going to be one of the best defenders that the Bombers have ever seen. He's going to be Dustin Fletcher type, so I'm very keen for that.
Who has the best rig in the AFL?
Who has the best rig in the AFL? Mate, that's a tough question. I need to be pre-prepared for these questions. I think that the best rigs in the AFL, probably Baz Lenker, obviously has like a pretty impressive rig. And then I guess if you're wanting to look at probably Christian Petrarca as well, has a pretty solid rig. Chef Track, as we know him. And then there's probably a few others. Isaac Quainer, obviously, is pretty shredded as well. So he'd be up there. So that's probably your top 3. There's some others that I can't think off the top of my head. I'm under a little bit of pressure here. But I tell you who actually does have a pretty good rig. Again, going back, Sammy Drapes. For a big boy, he is pretty shredded. So shout out to him. Generally, ruckmen aren't like that shredded. So probably Sammy Drapes. And then if I could think of a 5th, I would, but I can't at the moment. I'm going through my head trying to find other people. But they're my top 4, I reckon. Yep.
This one's a good one from Nick. He says, how do you stay focused through 4 quarters of footy? I tend to lose focus during halftime.
Good question. How do you stay focused during 4 quarters of footy? I think that footy is such a mental game. Actually, something that I do at halftime is I have a little bit of pre-workout. So that's actually a really good thing to go for. Other pre-workout or like have a bit of caffeine, bit of coffee. that's a really good way to go, because it actually is really gonna make you a little bit more focused in the head, and it's gonna give you that extra little bit of kind of juice to go for the second half. That's something that I did pretty much since the age of 16 to now I'm 23. So kind of hung with me for the last 6 to 7 years. So that's absolutely the way to go about it. Apart from that, focus is not really something that I can do too much help with. Like a bit of pre-workout, and I guess focusing as well on it's difficult where your team is at. So if your team's doing really, really well, it can be very, very easy to lose focus, because it doesn't really matter what I do. Or if your team's really, really poor, it's difficult to stay focused the whole game, because no matter what I do, it's not going to change anything. Not going to change the result of the game. So I think you have to get into your head that that you do matter, and then that no matter what kind of what you do throughout the game, it will be important, it will be imperative, and it could affect the end result. So don't get into the mindset, like I said before, of it doesn't matter what I do because the team will do it anyway, because that's just a waste of your time. And if you've got that mindset, then there's really no point of actually being there. So you've got to make sure that you, in your head, I'm going to be imperative to the change of this result, and you might be able to do a little bit of damage there as well.
Great. Noah Bartholomew says, best pub feed after a game of footy?
Best pub feed after a game of footy? Great question. Probably a Palmer or a Palmy. I've started saying Palmer now. Now that I've lived in Melbourne for bloody 6 months, I've started saying Palmer. That's all right. Palmer is the way to go. Big chicken schnitty with some cheese and some chippies and a salad is the way to go. Or a nice big steak. Probably the two big pub feeds I go for, with a side of calamari or something to start, and some garlic and cheese for kasha. God damn, I'm making myself hungry, Keehlan. One more question, I reckon, and then we'll wrap it.
Okay. From Brendan, what kick are you most comfortable with, snap or drop punt?
Wow, interesting question. I think that I've become more comfortable with the snap kick recently, because once you actually practice the snap enough, it's actually quite an easy kick to do. So for me, and this as well for you guys, you have to go out and practice what kick you want to be able to do. So if I'm within probably 25 meters and I'm on a slight angle, I'll snap left foot or right foot, no matter where I am on that kind of 45 degree angle. Even if I'm straight in front, I'll probably even just snap from there, because it's an easy kick for me, because I've practiced it thousands of times. I practiced it since I was 6 years old. So you need to practice it. Obviously, that's probably the first point of, I guess, that you need to focus on. But then also, if I'm on my range of 30 plus, then I'm going to go back and go for a drop punt. So everything is going to be decided on distance. But yeah, probably 30 plus meters. Then I start to go for a drop punt. But then you've got that grey area of the 25 to 30 meters, and I get there sometimes and I get a mark. I'm like, oh shit, what am I going to do here? Am I going to snap or am I going to drop punt? So you need to know exactly what your distance is, because as soon as you try to overkick a snap, that's when you start to belly it and it just goes completely the wrong way, and then the whole crowd goes, you suck, prime train, you're a flog. So make sure that you don't do that. But yeah, knowing your distance is absolutely key, and I think that's pretty much, is that a wrap?
I think that's a wrap, yeah.
Mate, that was elite. Well, guys, I hope that you guys got a fair bit of stuff out of this. Before we finish this podcast, I want to give you a quick shout out to my favourite ever fitness tracking device, and that is my Whoop band. I couldn't be happier with this beautiful looking. I'm running with the blue band at the moment, and I've got the charger on as well, so it's ready to go for tomorrow on game day. I absolutely love to wear the Whoop band on game day. I'll actually wear it with my new Whoop boxes. So the Whoop is absolutely fantastic. It's going to give you a full database, I guess, of how well recovered you are in a day, how much of your daily strain you're hitting, and then it'll give you a fantastic insight into your sleep as well. And that's what I really, really enjoy about it. So last night, I think you got about 7 hours and 57 minutes of sleep, which is fantastic. Obviously, you want to be aiming for that 8 hours of sleep. And a lot of the time, I'll go to bed and I think, wow, I'm going to get my 8 hours. But if you go to bed and then wake up between, it might be 8 hours that you spend in bed, but you might have only slept for 6.5 hours. So it's really good to get a fitness tracking device that's actually going to tell you how much sleep you are getting, because if you don't have it, then you think you might be sleeping 8 hours, but you're really only getting 6.5 hours, and it can be really detrimental to your fitness, to your risk of injury, and all that type of stuff if you are not tracking your sleep 100% correctly. So make sure you go and check out the Whoop Band. We've got all the links in the descriptions, and you'll get a fantastic discount as well if you sign up with the Prime Train link. Thank you very much to Keehlan today again for coming on board. I can't do any of this stuff without him, so make sure you guys send some love to Keehlan in the comments because we appreciate him. Thank you, Keehlan.
Love it. Thank you.
No worries. All right, guys, that is a wrap. Like I always say, stay sexy, and I'll see you guys next week.